What it do, man? Coming back at y'all with a slight update to the main sandbox project, man. So in today's episode, today's vlog, man, we just gonna be covering what I added. And so far it has been some light combat, if you will. We added a new vehicle, a new weapon, a new type of weapon being mask. So we have light combat, we have new weapons, new vehicle. We also have the ability to fly, man. So if you guys are interested in any of these simple little updates that I added with the combat, the vehicles, flying, even working on a flying vehicle. It is still a work in progress, but I'm going to show that to y'all anyways. So without further ado, man, this video may be shorter. It is going to be quick. It is just going to be a rundown. But nonetheless, let's run up the intro and get straight up into the editor.
I'ma do this shit until they murder me.
Alrighty, and here we are, back up at inside the lovely Unreal editor. So, start things off, we're going to do a quick flyby. Just fly over the quick things that were added. This is our lovely new vehicle we got right here. I know, lovely, pretty vehicle came from Sketchfab, of course. So, without further ado, this is actually a flying vehicle. You see, took the wheels off. It doesn't need wheels because it's going to be flying. I may, if I can, consider adding wheels in the future to the flying vehicle and have the flying be toggleable. So then you drive around as normal and then fly through the sky. You know what I mean? But other than that, this is the flying vehicle. New weapon. This is just a sword. We are working on melee combat, so this is just one sword we're going to be using. This is one of the masks. This is the combat mask, if you will. So this allows you to fight hand-to-hand combat. And the other mask we added is our lovely flying mask. So wearing this mask gives you the ability to take flight. And the one thing I didn't mention in the intro is this lovely little fella right here, which is simply nothing but a random vehicle spawner. So instead of, out in the world or whatever the world ends up being when we get to world creation, instead of placing certain vehicles in certain locations, we just made a lovely random vehicle spawner that will spawn a random vehicle at this location that I dropped this lovely little target point right here. So enough of the flyby, man. Let's just hop straight up into it and see what we got going for us. All right. So I did add this as well, which is just a hover component. I was planning on using this for the flying vehicle because as you can see, our flying vehicle over here is, let's just say it's having a hard time. All right. So the unfortunate process of putting the hover component onto the flying vehicle, it messed with the flying. So it does, like I said, need some more improve in that department. So I think the easiest fix probably would just be add some wheels, make it a normal driving car, and then have a toggleable button to activate the flying, per se. I think it would be cool, maybe even have the wheels like rotate sideways and whatnot, real futuristic flying type stuff. I don't know. It's just a work in progress with the vehicle. So before we even get into the new weapons, as you can see, the random vehicle spawner, ironically enough, spawned the new vehicle. Perfect, right? Perfect. Gotta love our RNG tutorial. But we'll start with the flying vehicle before we get into the 3 new weapon additions. So you guys saw the hover component. You see the new vehicle. We will test drive that as well. But let's start off with our lovely flying vehicle. The only thing with the flying vehicle is currently it starts off. Well, let's just hop in. All right. As you can see, it starts off flying. So we can slow it down a little bit. We can turn. We can fly. As you can see, everything is working. We can roll. So the flying vehicle is working as intended. It works really smooth. We can pick up some more speed, and it does keep its same speed, so you don't have to continue holding W or forward if you're using controller, because I am adding controller support. But other than that, flying vehicle does work smoothly as intended. Like I said, we just have to work on the whole landing approach. So if I come in for a nice smooth landing, hold S all the way till you have no forward momentum, it will slowly drop to the ground. But as you can see, when grounded, has its lovely little stutter. So we'll just move on. Like I said, the flying vehicle is a work in progress. So we do have sword, and the unfortunate thing about the sword is it has no animations. I didn't work on the sword combat yet because I was more working on the hand-to-hand melee combat and the flying. So we do have where's over there specking out, but nonetheless, we do have idle for the sword. So I mean, we have the idle. It does have a alternate slot, so it can go on your back and equip it in your hand. You can do all your normal stuff with it. It just doesn't have any attacks or anything, but it does have a lovely little idle. You know what I mean? Turn in place and everything works with it. So I mean, the sword is, I guess, relevant. Not fully functional, but it is here. It does have its placeholder, so when I do start to add the sword combat, we at least already have the equipable slots and everything for it. So, without further ado, let's just drop that off. And this is the flight mask. It does seem like our combat mask rolled away, so let's just run down here really quick. Pick up our lovely combat mask, which does have its own idle as well. So this is the combat mask's idle. Pretty dope if I do say so myself. And you can unequip it. Currently for the masks, I don't have an unequipped slot. So when you unequip it, you just kind of return to your normal idle. And then when you equip it, you're into the combat idle. And so the attacks right now, we are only at 2. So we have left hook and a right uppercut. And then you can just kind of mash them back and forth. We do have a block feature. Block is not functional yet. It just is there. So you can press block and you will block for X amount of time and then stop blocking. Doesn't do anything at the moment. If you're blocking, you can still be hit. It'll be clapped. All that good stuff is still in motion, but it is there. It is a work in progress. So we do have the possibility of blocking. Without further ado, let's show off the lovely little combat. So uppercut, left hook, and the punches do 20 damage per punch. But as you can see, I just slow this down a little bit for you. When I swing, it has an active hitbox. So when that hitbox is active, you can hit your opponent multiple times. So as you can see, I hit him twice and he went down. So it is a little bit of RNG. So if you do get yourself a good hit, you know what I mean? You can see all the 20s popping up because he's being hit multiple times. You know what I mean? And sometimes it does have, sometimes it does have some weird physics to it. You can send people flying with some good amount of oomph. You know what I mean? But if I do just slow this down one more time, we do have responsive combat, so he does react pretty well to whatever punch is hitting him. So the uppercut, it's about the uppercut. I know the particle effects are a little in the way. They're a little overkill at the moment. Particles are just random, to be honest. I was just messing around with Niagara and such, and that's particles. As you can see, it is pretty reactive. It does have the ragdoll when you get killed with any weapon. As you can see, uppercut works nice. Hook works nice. So let's lead with the hook this time, okay? Because it seems like the 1-2 combo is doing them in every time. You know what I mean? Start with the lovely little hook. And one tap. That active frame on that hook is pretty nice if you do place it well. Without further ado, enough of the combat, man. I love the combat so far, even though it's just 2 hits with a little bit of particles in it, but sounds good, looks good, feels good. And that's the best thing about making a game is we want something that feels good. You know what I mean? So without further ado, I'll drop this mask. One of them lovely fellows over there can have it. Without further ado, move on to our lovely little flight mask here. So the flight mask doesn't have a stance per se, so at the moment there's no real way of being able to tell if you're in flight stance or not. So the only way would be pressing the active flight button, which is currently set to the E key. So let's press E, and we're now flying. We can go up, down, left, and right, and it is like locomotion flight, I guess you could call it, seeing as we're not going in one direction. We kind of have freedom control to go left, right, back, and forward. You hold shift, you will fly faster, and let it go, you'll gradually slow back down. Quickest way to slow down is kind of just 180 and start trying to fight against the direction you're going. And just come down into a halt, hit the ground, and ended up dropping the mask. So that is another flaw. You drop the mask while in flight. There's no way to deactivate flight unless you have the flight mask equipped. So you land back down, you're on the ground. So just make sure you don't drop your flight mask while in flight or you won't be able to stop flight. Alright, there are still some kinks being worked out with some of the stuff. This is a side project, so I kind of work on it here and there. I guess you can call it a hobby project, if you will. So things may take time, and I'm still learning more and more about the engine as things go on, but it is all still fully replicated. So without further ado, let's just put on a lovely second little individual in here. We'll do a pie window. Alrighty. So come over here, as you can see, random car spawner did spawn a different random car this time. Yeah, okay, too close to the vehicle. Put our mask here. As you can see, come over to our lovely screen. So as you can see, we'll start flying. And you can see us flying. Here we are, flying through the sky. Go up, over, all around, any direction we please. Come back. Oh, still working on the flying myself. Land on the ground. Here we are. The flying vehicle also works as intended, so we can just hop in the vehicle. And that's too much, so we'll jump out of that. Yeah, when you let go, you jump out the vehicle while it's flying, it does seem to do some really wonky stuff, as you can tell. But I mean, for the most part, it is still in theory replicated. Like they both see the car in relatively the same position. It may be freaking out the same way as well, but it is still replicated. It does need fixins, as you can tell, but nonetheless, everything is still working as it is intended. I mean, without further ado, just feel free, drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think down below of what has been added. I guess the only thing I didn't show you is the car, but I mean, it works like every other vehicle in the game. As of right now, the only thing that's not added to the vehicle itself is going to be customization of the color of the vehicle. So we do have a license plate on front and back, which does work. We can change out the wheels. The wheels do work as intended for the vehicle, and color 1 or paint 1 will be the color of the wheels, and that's pretty much all that's changeable on the car added so far. But it does work. It does get the job done. I love the vehicle. Favorite car added so far. It is a drift vehicle, so it is going to be doing your daily drifting duties. All in all, man, this is everything currently added in this update. We are still working on more things and ironing out the kinks of other things. So without further ado, man, there have been some people who do want to see a tutorial of the simple merge between ALS and AVS. I am going to try to work on that as well, but like I said, this is a hobby project, side project, things do take time, unfortunately. So I am also gonna try to devote some more time to putting in that tutorial for you guys, so you guys can make something similar, you know what I mean? Maybe someone with more experience than I have even can take what I'm doing and send it over to Moon, you know what I mean? Without further ado, this video is gonna be short, probably already a lot longer than intended. I ramble. I like to ramble. I'm having a blast with Unreal. But man, I'm gonna get out you guys' hair. Hopefully you enjoyed this devlog. That's probably no longer even a short devlog. And without further ado, man, like, comment, subscribe, and just stay tuned to what we have planned for our project. And if you guys have any recommendations that you want to see, feel free. Drop it down in the comments below. And without further ado, I'll catch you on the next one.